5 years ago, I began a online business and I had no business background. I had only a degree in science and I was a healthcare worker, and that's all I knew. That's all I did. And I began what I thought was going to be a side hustle that became quite quickly a new income stream. And then I went on to quit my 9 to 5. I'm going to be unveiling the curtain today on my Etsy business, the components that I believe made it work. I'm going to be explaining the whole process. If you are looking to start this type of business model I'm going to be talking about today, I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it without inventory, with low startup costs, just from my computer, literally my laptop. That's all you honestly need. That is basically all you really need, is a little bit of a startup budget. Typically, you're going to want to invest about $50 to $150 for this business model. So let's just jump right into it. Okay, so let's just jump into what business model that I did and how I started making money online. I was looking for some sort of side income at the time. I was just looking to make money online essentially because my job in healthcare got cut hours. I was grateful I had a job first and foremost, but I knew I had to make money online. This was coincidentally the same time as the pandemic and COVID, and a lot of people were cut hours, laid off during this time. And during that, I was looking on LinkedIn, I was looking on Indeed, and I stumbled across the world of print on demand, and specifically print on demand selling on Etsy. Now, I looked at different platforms. I looked at creating my own website, and either the application process to get into one of those was very long-winded, such as Amazon, where on Amazon merch, sometimes you have to apply multiple times to get accepted. And I wanted something that I could just apply to, start today, right? Etsy was the easiest barrier to entry for me. And then also it was a low startup investment model. And then also hearing the amount of organic traction already built into Etsy, such as the 90 million Etsy customers that they have, and a large email presence. They have a large social media presence, and there was just so many pros with using Etsy for me that I was drawn to it. So I decided to start my own Etsy and print on demand business, honestly, the week that I found out about it. Let's get into what print on demand is. What print on demand is it's a business model where you actually do not hold any inventory. You can if you would like, but it's not necessary, and you don't even need to see the product physically. What the process is when a order from your customer comes through, let's say Etsy, that is the platform that you're going to be selling on in this example. When that order comes through, your print on demand provider will have that order integrated and sent to their system. They will put that order in a queue based on the print on demand provider that it sends to, or print on demand company that you're using. That warehouse will take that order, they will print, pack, and ship that product out to your customer. They will complete the tracking information, send your customer a tracking notification as well on Etsy through Etsy's integration with a print on demand company's website. And essentially you are really just the middleman between that, who creates the designs, selects the products, and handles customer service. So the physical element is basically taken out of this process. And you are charged every time a order comes through and you have to pay to that print on demand company to print, pack, and ship the item. But that difference between what the customer pays and what you pay is essentially your profit. So I wanted to mention that here too, because I think a lot of people, the initial idea is that it is free, and it is not free with doing this model with print on demand and Etsy. However, it is incredibly rewarding and incredibly faster of a, I would say, gratification system in getting sales and then getting the money back, and that difference being a profit. Now, I will say I don't want to paint the picture that a lot of sellers are going to make a profit in the first few months of starting. Typically, what I've seen is the average seller taking a few months to 6 months until they really start to see some profit coming in. So one of the companies I am going to recommend that I have started selling with since the beginning of time is Printify. Printify has some of the lowest production fees that you can possibly have with print on demand and selling on Etsy. This is what I attribute to making such a high profit margin in my time in selling. And that healthy 30% profit margin is essentially because I used a print on demand company like Printify that was able to give me those low production costs. Now, I do have a code and a link down below. I highly recommend signing up for. One of the, I don't know if I showed this in the video yet, but I have this coffee tumbler, and this is actually a sipper glass that I ordered as a sample from Printify. And this is so adorable. You can sell this. And again, if you're looking to start your Etsy and print on demand business, you can start selling this as soon as this week on your Etsy shop. This, as you can see, is just like such a adorable coffee tumbler, and I have a wraparound design on it. It says enjoy things at your own pace, which is my mantra at times here, because I would say if I were an animal, I would be a sloth, because I just like to enjoy things at my own pace. Okay, we don't need to say negative things about sloths, but anywho's, Printify is the company I use to print, pack, and ship this product. And they are who I use for a lot of my products I sell. Now, there is also another company called Printful that I'd recommend to those of you starting out, because again, it is a reputable print-on-demand company, and Printify and Printful are the two major print-on-demand companies. I highly recommend them because they have the best customer service, they support their sellers, and they have low production fees that allow you to compete alongside handmade sellers and other print-on-demand sellers alike. So that is what you should know. The softwares that I think are most important and vital to your business. Print-on-demand company is going to be number one, of course. Your design software is going to be number two. And then the third optional one is having some sort of research software. And then there's also a lot of other softwares I've talked about on this channel that are add-on options that can help you in your business. Now, I do recommend having a research tool when you first start off. Everbee is a completely free one, hence why I'm going to recommend it in this video. It's a Google Chrome extension. It gives you basically spy vision into the Etsy algorithm to see what sells and what is currently trending right now. And I use it in a lot of my YouTube videos here. So you will see me use it. If you ever wonder what that Google Chrome extension is, that is it. And again, I'm going to link that all below. I also have a link for 40 free Etsy listings. So if you're starting your business, again, sign up under that link so you can get those 40 free listings. And outside of that, those are the softwares and tools I recommend, and kind of a quick synopsis of all of them. I have other videos going over tutorials of them more in depth. So highly recommend maybe checking out what's next, or going to my channel and checking out other videos to watch those as well. But besides that, that's it for softwares I'd recommend and essentials that you need when you are starting this print-on-demand business. So your next question might be, okay, Heather, what actually sold? I just want to know. So my six-figure product in the time that I've sold on Etsy has been the Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt. And I actually ran some numbers, and with the help of my husband, who is a Excel and data just genius with those things that I am not good with. I come from a healthcare background, okay? I am a creative, I'm a disorganized person. If you know, you know. But thanks to the hubby, we have looked over my analytics and my data, and I have been able to see that my top selling sweatshirt colors have been the color ash, the color sand, black, white. So in my time in selling Gildan 18,000, I have had an incredible run, because through my time in selling that, I was able to obtain at least a 30% profit margin in my business. And that's how in my $250,000 that I sold in my first year, I ended up having a gross profit of over 6 figures, which ideally that's what would be great as a print-on-demand seller. Now, what products have I tried selling? What have the mistakes been, and what have I learned through this time in selling? First off, I started selling t-shirts, and I did sell t-shirts during this time as well. I don't want to discount t-shirts because I think they're a great area to go into still to this day. However, I just didn't find that much success in my own business selling t-shirts. So instead, I ended up switching to crew neck sweatshirts. And I find, at least for me, why I think I did so well with crew neck sweatshirts is because I am a sweatshirt girly. Okay, as you can see, this is my outfit. This is my work uniform, if you will, during the day, which is really just comfy clothes. Okay, I'm a comfy clothes girl. This is what I like to wear. And I think that's why I was really good at designing for those types of sweatshirts and t-shirts. The other thing is I targeted a niche. And for anyone new to the world of Etsy and print-on-demand, niches are essentially categories on Etsy and hobbies, interests of your customers. And that's what we're basically creating for. When you know the niche, you're able to create designs for that niche and products that people will hopefully buy, right? So in my time of starting to sell on Etsy, I was going into a lot of niches that I wasn't really connected to, but I was just having fun with. And what actually sold for me was niches I had experience with, and that was the medical niche and medical occupation niche and category on Etsy in specific. So nursing, imaging, radiology, dental hygiene, those were my places that I was just so good at designing for because I had on the ground knowledge base of what people were looking for. I had a lot of friends in these areas of the medical field, and that's what sold for me. All this to say is what I sold was medical sweatshirts, t-shirts, and that's pretty much what was my area on Etsy that I found a lot of sales and growth in. On top of that, I think a lot of people ask, what was my strategy? How do I initially get traction in this business? So I wanted to go into that and dive deeper into that as well during this video. So when I began my Etsy business, I was trying so many designs, I was trying so many listings, so many product types, and I just couldn't figure out what was going to sell for my business or what I was good at selling. And I think I started designing for myself rather than what people actually wanted to buy. And in that time, I decided to shift and start asking people I knew what they would buy on a t-shirt or sweatshirt. And then I also started posting on social media, and that was my initial start of traffic and traction in my Etsy business because yes, prior to posting on social media, I was seeing a sale or two per week, but it wasn't until I posted on a Facebook group that I was a part of, and I posted my t-shirt that was a punny medical phrase on a t-shirt, and from there that post took off and I saw my first 10 plus order sale day. From there, I posted a few more times. I had a few more days that were multi-order sale days. I had a 20 plus order sale day. And I remember it was just so incredible to me when I saw all the cha-chings on my phone going off, and I was at work, so I had to turn my phone on silent. But it was one of the most incredible days when that happened. And I attribute a lot of that to going on social media, joining a Facebook group, and stepping out of my comfort zone and sharing my Etsy shop with people that I may have known in the medical field or just strangers online. So at the end of this video, if you are at the stage of, okay, Heather, I just want to start this, I want to try it out, and I think this is the business model for me, I wanted to first off say this is honestly an incredible time to start a Etsy print-on-demand business. I know a lot of people ask, is it worth starting? Is it worth doing this year? And my answer is always going to be yes, because as many new sellers coming in to the platform, there are old sellers going out, and Etsy is upcycling newer listings and newer sellers on Etsy every single month. And I've seen this very prevalent, and it's much easier to be upcycled in their algorithm, shown above existing bestsellers on Etsy. If people like your product over a bestseller, you can compete still, and you can compete as a new seller on Etsy. So first and foremost, don't get discouraged if you decide to start this process. Now, if you are going to start, I have a start selling on Etsy full step-by-step video I'm going to suggest up above. I go over what you need to know prior to starting and everything that you should know if you're going to start this business model and make it work. So the other thing that I'm going to recommend to anyone watching and wants to get started today is my free print-on-demand crash course. It's a completely A to Z course I've created so that you can step-by-step open up a shop confidently with me and know what you need to know in order to start. So I highly recommend that. I have so many free resources and content, and I try to keep it as open as I can, as transparent on this YouTube channel as I can, because I want so many of you to make this work, make a new income stream in your lives that can change your lives, impact your lives in ways that maybe one income stream is not going to do in the long term, right? So outside of that, don't forget to subscribe on your way out, like this video, and I will see you in my future content here.